Greetings, everybody. Amar here, and this is kind of a redo of the last video that I did. The last video was a bust because it was recorded with low definition, so everything is a blur. So I went into the settings and I put it at a higher definition. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of what I did before because the Texas is coming out soon, and I'm just gonna go right into that workout. Um, every workout that I do generally takes me about an hour. So when I update all the information in this chart, it takes about an hour. And then sometimes I'll do a workout for like an hour. That is kind of a little bit of overkill. Generally, lucky enough, as I'm doing my data update, I'm seeing things. So it's like I'm updating it and doing a workout at the same time. I just have to be careful is that sometimes I start guessing before I finish all the charts. So you really want to just finish all the charts and get a total overview before you start guessing on what's going to happen. So the flag is where you find it. Okay, that is a concept in Gail Howard's Lottery Master Guide. The flag formation generally means a skip pattern of 2-5, and it's supposed to occur after a number has been cold for a long time. So I generally color my flag formations pink, and sometimes there are no skip fives in it. So for instance, if you had a skip pattern of 3-3-3, I would call that a flag formation, even though it's technically not a flag formation. It's hot and hitting, or I would call it a hot nexus. Hot and hitting makes more sense because that's also from the book. So for instance, this would be like hot and hitting here, 2-2-2, and you never got a skip five, a classic flag. So the pink I put as flags, and the reason why I do that is so that I don't overlook them. Now here in this one, it's white, but honestly, I do like it better as pink because again, it stands out. So I'm just going to color this as pink. So I don't necessarily need to have the red circle, but the red circle is just an additional visual aid. And now this little red box here is where I had actually made a guess because I thought this was going to get hot after 5 cold periods. Now, there is no classic flag. I say classic flag because 2-5 is the way she explains it in the book. She explains it 0-5, 1-5, 2-5. So I consider that classic. But in the book, she also says to look out for 6. So 2-6 is technically a flag formation, but I don't call it classic. So in this particular instance here, here's your 2-6. Okay. Now the thing about the flag formation is, again, it's supposed to happen after a number's been cold. So then I have to determine how cold is a number. So I use colors to then quantify how many dormant periods I'm looking at. Now in the Advantage Plus and Gold program, there's chart number 7, which is the last 50. It gives you a count of hits in the last 50, but that can be very misleading. So I figured that I've come to the conclusion that counting by the dormant periods is a much better way. However, there's no guarantee that 3 dormant periods will make your number hot, or 5 dormant periods will make your number hot, or even 8 dormant periods will make your number hot. And with pick 3, it's very extreme. So in the pick 3, I noticed that for some numbers, you can have as many as 13 dormant periods before the number gets hot, and that's why chasing a cold number, in my opinion, is one of the worst ideas you could do. So the flag is where you find it. I'm just going to show a couple of flags. This is the drawing since hit chart. Basically, it's a lotto graph. The pink generally is where the flags are, and I put the red in the circles to keep them standing out. So these are flags within the drawing since hit chart, the classic or the lotto graph. And then here, this is a drawing sense hit chart for the position 1 repeating. So here you have another flag formation. Okay, this is for doubles over here. Here's another flag formation, right? So this is also all flag. And then you had a dormant period. A dormant period for me means more than 9 games, so 10, 11, 12, etc., up to as many as 50. That's a dormant period if there's no hits. So I'm not actually making a distinction between a skip of 12 and a skip of 24. So a skip of 12 is a dormant period. A skip of 24 is a dormant period. At the beginning, I tried to consider that 24 would be two dormant periods. One skip of 24 would be two dormant periods if you had a skip of 12, but it just became too complicated. And but you can do a count of the days to get an out average ratio, and you can consider that after you do your dormant period count. So again, more flag formations here within the sums. So this is the core sums. You have flag formation, core meaning core of the bell curve, 8 through 19. So here's a flag for sum 14, and here's the flag for sum 9. So you never know when the flag is going to come in, but you see, I'm color coding the dormant periods. So right now, green is 3, yellow is 2, blue is 1. This is an extreme. I'm not going to get into that right now. But here's your 5. Okay, so I'll explain that in a second. But then there's more flag formations, right? If you go to the all sums dish, these are the same flags. But there were some flags back here. You see, sum 17. And even on the extreme bell curve, I remember there was a flag that I had seen way back. Here, sum 20. Here's a flag, right? So there's flag formations everywhere. You just have to find it, and it's difficult to find it because you have to visualize it. And when you use the Gale Howard Advantage Plus or Advantage Gold, you use 4B to look for the flag formations. But I think that and I do color it like this, but of course I'll use like a blue circle or a yellow circle, and then I'll go further on to look for my dormant periods. And I'll probably do a video of that later on. Now, an interesting flag that I found here was in my 7x pairs. So here is 70, 71, 72, etc. Here's N1, N2, N3, the date, the time. This is the draw number. So in this particular instance, you had 756 came out. So this would be a 7-5 pair and a 7-6 pair. This is two dormant periods. This is one dormant period. This is 4. This is 3. This is what is that? This is 7. No, this is 8. I'm sorry. This is 7. So I've done this so much that I know it by heart. But it's very simple because I just use the acronym BIG, right? BYGG, and that's how I'm counting. So here, this was went way over 8. So here, this was, if I do a count, right? This would be 8. This is 9. This is 10. This is 11. This is 12. And then I run out of colors. I run out of big colors. So then I make this. This was 13, and this is 14. So here's 14 also. I'd have to double check, but you can see here after 14 dormant periods, you have a flag formation. So 60242, and you had some good number choices here: 047, 067, another 077. 507. So this 07 went bonkers here, and it coincided. This flag here with the 7-0 pair coincided with the regular flag of the 0 in the first position. And where are we in the first position? And here we are, first position. So for instance, back here on this particular day, I was looking for sum 14, and that's because on the all sums dish here, I was looking over here, and here's my marker. And so I was looking for that number. But here the flag broke down, because here you would technically look 2-5 from the book. But since the 2-5 is classic, once you get past 2-6, I tend to drop it because it goes out into, starts cascading out. And so I would have had to play this here based on a different feeling, different flag. That would have probably been this flag. And it might have been just the fact that I do know that it can hit, but this would have been very tricky. I probably could have missed it. So let's see, going back to the 0 in the first position. Okay, so this is 5 dormant periods, so it got hot. So it can still get hot. Now I'm just going to show how I counted for the 0 in this position. Now it's a clean dormant count, meaning that there's no technical corrections, and I don't have to worry about calculating a streak or not, because whenever there's a streak, I reset the dormant count. So with the 0, I noticed that it was just a clean count, and we could it's clear as day. Okay, so let's go back down to look and see some of the previous flag formations. So here was the flag formation here after one dormant period. Here's a streak. Now I'm trying to get away from the term flag formation towards a term more Fibonacci nexus, because Fibonacci also has the 2-5 in it, and it just makes more sense, I think, to people who are math inclined, because flag formation is not even in the dictionary. But I digress a little bit. So here's your streak, and then here's a dormant period. Here's one. Now this dormant period is a skip of 40. So it's like, and this is one dormant period here of 14. So for simplicity sake, I don't make a distinction between the lengths, just how many. So here's one, okay, here's two, and here's a streak. You see, you get 4 hits, and then you go back to 1. And then there's another streak, another 4 hits, another streak. So it's reset again. So now this is where we get our clean count. One skip, one dormant period. Yeah, one skip of 24, one dormant period, and then one blue. So there's your blue from the big. And right here, so big, B, B for blue. And then another dormant period, it goes over here. Now this one was really long, it was 44. Okay, so this was 2. Now technically 44 is almost double of skip 22, so I could have made this 3 dormant periods, but then it's too confusing. I'll have to do all this extra additional math, and I don't really like it. It's less simple. It's more complicated. So then here's 3 dormant periods, skip of 14, and here's 4 dormant periods here, a skip of 11, and then 5 dormant periods here, skip 42. Now, interesting enough, 42 is kind of symmetrical to this 44 back here. And just to note, I did change the formatting color. Okay, here I changed the formatting from this blue with this white for greater than skip 29 to this lighter blue over here. This darker blue is this blue here is darker than this blue, so you can see I'm just lightening the blues a little because here is too dark, and when I printed it, it took up a lot of ink. And on my paper charts, I think I actually moved away from these black fill with the white 0, because again, the black ink is pretty expensive. So anyway, 5 dormant periods, and then here comes your flag. Your flag is coming in, right? And it's pretty hot. It could stay hot. It might be out of gas already, but you can see the symmetry, the 4, the 4, the 4. It never went 0, 5. And one of the problems I had is that a lot of times in the beginning, I was so trying to follow the book that I would wait for the skip to hit 5. So I wouldn't play it at 4. And then I'm like, shit, it hit at 4. And then again, it would be like 0, okay, it's going to go flag, 0, 5. And then boom, it hit at 4. So you have to really play it at skip 2 and 3 and 4. And it's better that way because it's hot and hitting. So this was 5 dormant periods, and the number got hot. Now, if you look over here at this flag formation here, the number 2 here, this is 8 dormant periods. So this number took 8 dormant periods to get hot, and then it had a very, very tremendous streak here. This is a number with a 2 in the middle. Here's a classic flag here of a skip of a 2-5 pattern, and the number was 120. And then it kept on going here. Here was a 2-6, which is not classic flag, but it is a flag formation because in the Lottery Master Guide, she says to hold it till skip 6. And the number here was 225. So this streak here of the 2 in the middle got hot after 8 dormant periods. This 0 in the first position got hot after 5 dormant periods. And this here, this 8 on the end, so here's our 8 dormant periods, here's 9. So this 8 on the end looks like it could be starting to flag. So here you had a long skip and then a hot skip. And now you have a flag skip, and then technically I like to look for a hot skip after that. So this is a number to watch out for the 8 in the third position. The 0 still in the first position, and here you have the 1 here, still a flag formation. So those are your flags. So from looking back in the history, The most dormant periods I saw within this chart, the drawing sense hit chart, is 13. I mean, the most going back approximately 2 years. Or not 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Or where does this chart start? This chart starts where? 2016. So this is already almost 3 years. 16, 17, 18. No, wait, we're in fucking 19. We're in 19. So this is 16, 17, 18, 19. This is almost 4 years of data. So going back 4 years of data, I've seen that the longest dormant period is 13. And so here you see I don't have anything colored in. So I don't really know what's going on. There's no depth for me here. And it's because it takes a lot of time to color all this in. Oh, and here, see, I wasn't coloring it in. I was marking it with numbers. So you can do that also. And that's actually a good way to do it, and which I'll probably be doing when I do a couple of videos for Advantage Gold and Advantage Plus, because you can't really color, you don't have the luxury of coloring like this, but you can still use colored markers to mark it here. And see here, this was, so I've been changing the fonts, and then here I start marking the colors. So those are dormant periods. So let's go all the way back to the bottom. And I'm not going to make this video too long again because the Texas is coming out and I want to get right into that workout really quick. I played 3 lines. I did also notice that you can play by the lotter, and it's just a 90-cent fee on 3 games, which is actually pretty good. But right now my benefactor is covering the cost. He put $50 in my bucket. Right now I'm at 39. I got 2 free plays yesterday, so I'm going to do that next. So let's just look and see what we got here with the flags. Here's again sum 9 and sum 14. So this flag formation has broken down. See, 3, 2, 2, 9. It broke down into a dormant period. However, this 10 is still symmetrical to the 9, so it's still possible here, and that's why I have it as a selection. And if it goes to 11, it'll also be symmetrical to the 9. So I'm going to hold the sum 14, and the sum 14 numbers are here: 707, 725, 716, and 734. The favorite I like is still the 077 to come back, that hit here on September 21. You know, the numbers do come back. So I like that one because my focus is on the sevens with my system. And then the other sum is the sum 9. And if I'm going to use the 7, there's only 2 sum 7s. I'm sorry, there's only 2 sum 9s with the number 7. So here's I like the sum 15 because it was at sum 33. Now I tried to make a dashboard. It was really hard. I thought I was proficient in Excel, but I'm not as proficient as I thought. I thought I was 90% proficient, and then I found out about VBA. Actually, no. First I found out about macros, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'm only 80% proficient. And then I learned about VBA. So, oh, maybe I'm only 70% proficient. And then I learned about dashboards. I'm like, oh god, I'm only 60% proficient. So with this sum 15, this is a long skip. So the flags are easy to spot. The long skips are harder. So in this sums dashboard here, I made a graph. So we're going to look at 15, and 33 is the skip. So 33 here. So here's my graph. This is the chart here from daytime. Again, here you see I made this snipping. This is where I was at skip 8, and this was at skip 4. So I'm still going to hold the 14, those numbers, but I'm looking at the 15. It was at 31, and now it's at skip 33. So the way I do this is that I highlight this chart, and I'm looking at sum number, what was it, 15? 15 here. So I pull this box, and I take it over here to the 15. All right, and this is basically, I made this with filters. I had to go in there and I had to use a filter. I selected some filter. I took the data, I pasted it, I did the simple subtraction, and then I pasted it here. So I'll do a separate video on how I do that, because this is essentially a 4B, and you can see that it comes out into a bell curve based on the amount of combinations for each sum. And so here's sum 0, we only had 3 hits. So people who are always playing triples with the zeros, it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't hit. Unless there's a lot of indicators for it. And people do the how do they call it, announcers, and there's triggers or whatever. And I guess they work, and you could probably hit it. And of course, if you're playing online at 5 times, then it's worth it to a certain extent because it's all states, and I think you can play like a quarter combination. But I digress. I'm not able to play online right now because I don't have my name on any type of identification, and my license is expired, and it's just a mess. So anyway, um, let's see. Add data labels. So skip 33. That's what we're looking for. So I move this red arrow, and I'm looking for 33. So boom, here's a 33. Here's a 34. Here's a 34. Here's a 34. So that's why I selected the sum 15 as well. Here's a 35, 36. So it's in a small little wheelhouse. After about 39, skip 41, it becomes, definitely it can go all the way up out here to 70. So that's why, anyway, I have this sum 15 marked. And so I'm going to go back to the main chart. And actually, I don't have it marked here. Did I have it marked here? Yeah, so I marked it here, but I didn't mark it here. So let me mark it over here as well. So let's put the little red jammy here. And I'm going to look for 15. So the numbers with the sum 15 is 078. So the 078 is interesting is because I already mentioned that I like this 7, I like this 8 in the third position here, right? So you had a 077. So the 078 could come out. People on lottery always talk about counting and this and that. Jimmy's counting. I mean, it could be funny. It's silly. They're playing around. But I don't like to say, oh, they're counting. There's a logical reason for why I'm making this decision. Another thing interesting to note here is here you have the 875. If you mirror this 5, you get 870. So that's a number that I like. And you see, in the 07, I already showed you, is really hot from this flag formation. So if you put the flag of the 07 with the very overdue 8 here in the position, in the third position with 9 dormant periods, and then you put the fact that the 07 has already come out in the front pair, and and then you have the mirror of the 5 with the 0, 870. I'm putting all those pieces together to make my choice. So it is random, but random breaks down, and if random didn't break down, we wouldn't be existing on this planet. So anyway, let's see, where are we here? So that's about it, really. This is another flag here with the doubles that I mentioned, 1 dormant period. So you're going to have a double come in. So that's a good reason for also the 077. I did text one of my benefactors from New York, Rusty. I said sum 14 looks like it's going to come in. It's a symmetry. It's a 9-8 symmetry. Cover it 9-9, 9-11. I think that 077 is it, and he said, oh, what about 662? I says, all right, I can't say it's impossible, but if I look at my this is my sums. If I look at my dubs dashboard here, I can see that so this is the double sevens here. If I look at the double sixes, it's way out of the extreme. The skip is already past this wheelhouse of the 90s, and that's because I have it over here. Here's the double sixes. It's already at 104. So it's possible, but I don't have any pairs for the sixes. So that's about it, really. So I'm gonna just mark here. So I got this the sum 15 078, and then of course here I'm going to copy sum 14, paste, and I'm going to there's the show the note, and so those are the numbers that I'm recommending: 077 and 078. Another thing interesting here is that, see, this flag ended. So this was 3 dormant periods. Now we're at 1 dormant period. Here's 1 dormant period, but now you're looking at symmetry 4-3. This is, you've broken the symmetry. It's cascading out. So this is, it could happen, but I like to stay symmetrical because otherwise you're guessing poorly. So this in the middle here would be a 0. So you could have a 7, 0, 8 also, because this 7 is coming in dormant period. Skip 20, 21 and skip 9. So I already showed you the 4B core sums. That was my dashboard. I didn't really talk about it too much. And the pyramids galore over here, because this is how I'm looking. This is a 4A technically. This is a pyramid 4A in Advantage Gold. This is K2, which is a new chart from K1, which is a really from K1 was an Advantage Plus, but it didn't work. You had to print it out and mark it because there was no way to mark the numbers moving up and down. In K1, you can highlight the numbers and see it moving up and down. So that is an addition. But K2 is basically a 4A, and the K2 works good for the bonus ball and the Mega Millions and Powerball. So here's the data. So I'm going to select this down. So this is that skip 23. So I put the marker here at skip 23, just the red line, to see where we are. This is about 23. The dash line is the multiples of 5. I should make those darker or thinner. So skip 23. So here was, this was skip 24. You're looking for symmetry on the long skip. So you're almost getting an exact 24-24 symmetry, and you can see it here. Here's the 24, and previous to that, you had flag formation 4-5-4-5 symmetry 4-5-4-5. You can't get perfect after any more perfect than that. But this was only after one dormant period, so you can get a streak after only one dormant period, and other numbers only have streaks after 5 dormant periods, 3 dormant periods, 8 dormant periods, or in this case over here, you have 9 dormant periods. Or if you're going to look at this 7 pairs, this is 13 dormant periods. So I'll do a separate video on showing how I do the colors. But that's basically how, yeah, here it is, a big algorithm. Basically, this is blue, yellow, green, gray, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how I'm doing my counting. So when I look here, I can see this is 5, this is 4, this is 2, this is 2, this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 3, this is 1, and this is 9. So the longer the out, the better, Gail Howard says in her book. That's true to a degree. She also says that a cascade of 3 periods makes a number hot, but if you look at this 0 in the front, there's no cascade, there's no reverse cascade. I just call them dormant periods. I'm just counting them. You can get a reverse cascade. You can get a reverse cascade is better. A reverse cascade means that the skips are coming in. They're getting smaller. A cascade means the skips are going out. They're getting larger. If you're going to chase a skip going out larger, that's a bad idea, because in the pick 3 you can have a skip of up to 90 games. But if you see it's coming 90, 45, 20, 10, 5, you can see clearly that the numbers are coming in. And if you put the reverse cascade together with the counting of the dormant periods, you can then be able to locate the flag formation and then play at the power number at skip 5. Or if you're even luckier, you'll get like a pattern of 3, 3, 3, 3. And hot and hitting, and you'll play the symmetry and just forget the flag. So I guess that's about it. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. So this is about 30 minutes. So that's about it. Any questions, comments, likes? Now I want everybody to get clear on how I'm doing the colors on the dormant periods, because I'm using this convention for every game. I'm using it for New York, I'm using it for Texas, I'm using it for the Powerball, I'm using it for the Mega Millions, I'm using it for everything, for Keno. So, but I haven't built those charts. But those I want to build, because those probably will help the most people playing the hardest games, and it gives a good indication of what is going to happen. It lets you anticipate well. And that's what Gail Howard says in the book. You want to be able to anticipate. So, like for instance, this is here. This is 4 dormant periods, but you didn't get any type of flag, right? You could still have this intermediate skip, which is really tricky. And the intermediate trick is where I came up with the intermediate hot skip, where I generally play the intermediate hot skip as a power number. It doesn't always happen, but I have had some success on that. Um, so yeah, I guess that's it. My email is amargh amarghlotto at gmail.com, and you can find me on Facebook. On that group, it's pretty secret. It's hard to find. I have a website. I haven't put it down in the in any of my whatever that stuff that you write at the bottom of the video, because I haven't really been doing too much there. But I'm gonna start because I'm having a little bit more motivation. Oh, last thing, the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. No, not that book. Think and Grow Rich. It has a whole section on organized planning. So that's how I tried to organize this video. These are 4 things I wanted to talk about, but I mostly talked about these 2, but I did show here. Oh, pyramids galore. That's the last. Oh, I wanted to look at that last thing. So I mentioned here the 7. No, no. I'm sorry. The number. I click on this so it highlights this. The number 9 is gonna come soon in position here, first position. According to this, if you have symmetry here, right? And then the other number that we're concerned about here is the 7. So here we're gonna, and I put this blue bar. I try to mark the blue bar at the skip of 10 to show where the dormant period is. And so this is skip number 21, and then we look to see in the past 21. Here's a 21, and then these I can actually right-click these and add data labels. The more hits here, the harder it is to see. I think this is 27 and this is 29, and because this goes back 782 games here, so that is 2 years. 2 years. So that's about it. That's it for this video. I'm gonna upload it tonight, so it should be ready early in the morning. And yeah, try to hammer those numbers because I'm gonna try to engineer some decent hits for the third quarter, fourth quarter of 2019, and then I'll prep this. And then if I go back to New York to visit my brother in the beginning of the year, I'll have all these charts ready, and I'll see if I can hammer some hits. Oh, and the other thing is that I'll start looking at Lunacy from Lottery Post. He has a pretty good, interesting system, and I'm going to cross-reference a lot of his Christmas numbers, as he calls them, and see if I can make sense of what he's doing, because he tends to talk in code also, and sometimes just mumbo jumbo, right? Even though you could say the big is mumbo jumbo too, but to me it makes sense, and so I can see what's happening. So let's see what this 8 is going to do here in the third position. Let's see if it has as many hits as this 0 had in the first position and as this 2 had in the middle. All right, everybody. Good luck. Happy number hunting.